Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is bring about conversations of a mental health, emotional health, and psychological paradigm and coaching paradigm. We do that as often as we can, usually several times per week. We do that for your listening pleasure. We try to make these as accessible and easy to understand as possible because there are challenges related to all areas of life, and the more we're ready to deal with those challenges, the easier life becomes for us as a whole, and we begin to kind of balance things out. If you're looking for coaching, life, relationship, business, whatever have you, would love to be of assistance to you in any way that I can. Please feel free to reach out at PO Perception on Twitter in the About Me section of this YouTube page. Either one will get you in touch with me or a member of my team, and then ultimately we can make things happen in a good way. So, the second part of our trauma series, what are some signs of that you're dealing with trauma? Physical symptoms can be a huge indicator that you're dealing with unresolved trauma. So, um, a physical symptom could be nausea, vomiting, palpitations, tension in the body, pain in the body, unexpected dizziness, nausea, vomiting, all sorts of things. Now, obviously, physical symptoms can have a root cause that's purely physical. However, a person who is or has gone through a great deal of trauma is more likely to experience physical symptoms with traumatic memory. So when you're remembering something, when you're talking about something, when you see someone who caused you original trauma, core challenges, you may experience physical symptoms as a result of all of that. The next thing is the refusal to get close to people. So a trauma victim or trauma survivor is a person who has had difficult relationships. Therefore, when the difficult relationships become too much for that individual to bear, they will often express it as almost kind of a frustration point or a feeling that they can't get to a healthy space within themselves, and the inability to find that balance makes it easier for that individual not to get close to people. That means they may socially isolate, they may avoid large social gatherings or social gatherings with people they haven't known for a long time. They may also shut down or shut out of relationships that they used to embrace continually, and that becomes super, important, super valuable, and super meaningful. The next thing there is no trust. The level of trust that a person has is directly related to the reality of kind of connecting in a deeper level. And so if a person has an inability to trust on a consistent basis, it's harder for them to maintain healthy, meaningful, useful, and good relationships. And that inability then is going to translate to social instability and or social discord within themselves when they can't find what they're looking for out of the relationships that should be providing them support. This can lead to addiction of thought, addiction to substances, addiction to spending, addiction to sexuality. All kinds of addiction can come from trauma. This is because the addiction itself becomes a coping mechanism or just a reason to look for distraction or change in mood, change in emotional and mental state. So a person who has been through a lot of trauma is more likely to fall into an addictive pattern to cope with the emotions that are flooding them. Many times people that have been through a great deal of trauma deal with emotional flooding on a continual basis. That emotional flooding then leads them to feel like they'll never kind of regain composure, regain balance, regain comfort. And so without the ability to regain these things that should be provided, or most people would think can be provided to them, they may look for other people or other situations to provide it for them. A lot of this becomes the depression cycle as well. So the depression cycle is anger to sadness to anger to sadness. So that's the basic loop that the depression cycle makes. And when a person doesn't feel that they have a proper cycle of emotional variance, it can become extremely difficult for that individual to find a certain level of control in their own life. And without that control, the ability to keep going feels off, and then ultimately that leads to internal struggle. When a person's constantly beating themselves up for the things they haven't done or the emotional goals they haven't met, it's even harder for them to remain committed, connected, and ultimately focused on making better decisions for their own benefit in a good and solid way. So hopefully this is helpful. I encourage you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.